Today's episode of In the Trenches is brought to you by System 12 Guitar Method. Sign up today at ryanroxie.com.
In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie.
Hello. My name is Ryan Roxie, and welcome to another live stream episode of In the Trenches. We are dealing with foreign internet today, foreign Wi-Fi. One more week of me being out here on the road, and I'm going to do a few shows back home. And then we're on the road in Europe. So who knows what the Wi-Fi will bring there, but the challenges are always there in the trenches, but who cares? I'm excited. I'm excited about today's because here I am. This is officially called the Hangover series, the Hangover episode. First time I've really ever been this sort of hungover doing the podcast because I'm not used to airing it so much in the morning hours. I'm on the West Coast right now. But again, if you are listening to us on one of the audio broadcasts, thank you very much. But where we really want you is right here in the trenches at the Ryan Roxie Official YouTube channel. That's Ryan Roxie Official. Vic, our producer, just put up that link. Hopefully you can see it. Hopefully my feed is coming through okay. If it isn't, guess what? You got me on audio and you can just sort of see the pixelated version of me. But the guest that we have, you definitely will want to see in full living color because like I said, this is one of the first podcasts where I've been able to see our guest perform the night before. And let me tell you, his show is great. You're definitely going to want to see him when he comes to a town near you or when you guys come to Los Angeles. I just saw him at the Comedy Store last night. Like I said, I'm still hungover. Let's just file this one under the Hangover episodes folder and start enjoying the ride. Okay. Here we are. I'm going to bring in our guest to talk the naked truth about the fine line between comedy and rock and roll and how we met. And of course, we'll talk about Stefan Adika as well. So don't hit that pause button just yet. Please welcome into the trenches, Mr. Earl Skakel. Hello, Earl.
The pleasure is all mine.
I'm glad that we're on a sort of slow go. This is a slow burn right now because for a guy that's never drank or done drugs, because you said that on stage last night. Is that true?
Yes, I've never had a sip of alcohol. I've never had a cigarette. I've certainly inhaled enough secondhand marijuana smoke at various comedy rooms. But my insides are pretty pure. I'm like a smaller version of Kane Roberts.
Well, we're going to talk about Kane as well, because you do, my friend, you do have a really close-knit relationship with not just heavy metal, not just hard rock, 80s rock, but the Alice Cooper Band in particular. You even brought the bear to prove it. So even though you've never drank or done drugs or anything like that, you were very inspirational in having me and my buds drink and drink even more because we were enjoying the show so much when we saw you last night up at the store right on Sunset Boulevard. There you are performing the comedy. No, that's not the Comedy Store, but it's some sort of stage somewhere. But my question to you was, actually, not my question, my comment. Thank you very much for inviting us out to the show. It kicked ass. You did great last night. It was really great.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I was really nervous before last night because I got to see you perform. And I was like, they showed me such a good time. I mean, you guys killed it. And Ace was great before you guys, but I was there to see you guys, Anita and everyone else. And I was like, Jesus, I hope I don't bomb in front of these guys. Because, you know, when you go on last at the Comedy Store, it's a tough spot because, you know, you're following every comic that was on before me is on TV, movies, Joe Rogan's podcast. So you have to get the crowd within the first minute or they leave by the dozen.
Yeah. That's the thing. They've been there pretty much for a couple hours. They've watched a lot of comedy and they're looking for their exit because nobody wants to be disrespectful and leave right during a show. But it's not like a rock show where you can sort of leave in the darkness and sort of just fade out in the darkness. So when you're the last band on, it just thins like, the top of my hair or whatever. And it just thins really gradually. At the Comedy Store, if you go on last, people are making a beeline before you actually start telling jokes. But then you made a good thing about it because more people actually started filing in to fill those seats with the few people that did. They didn't bail. They were I just feel that you get beat up by comedy, and it's hard going on last, like you said.
Oh, it's brutal. A lot of people would consider, oh, you're headlining. And it's like, no, that's going on last. But like the guy who went on before me, Ian Edwards, he's had multiple Netflix specials, Rogan's podcast multiple times, late night, many late night comedy appearances. So he's very tough to follow. And the girl before him, same thing, multiple late night spots on TV. So I think when they here's the last comic, it's like, oh, they must not be very good. We'll give him or her 1 minute, and then we look where the exits are, and we make like Carl Lewis out of the blocks.
Well, I can assure you, dude, you were so good last night, and I was laughing the whole time. I actually made a sound effect that you had to incorporate into the bit because I actually had my rings on and I made this stupid sound. Like I was laughing so hard, I pounded on the table and you were like, is the building coming crashing down or something like that? So, I mean, it is like for a band playing on a 3-bill band, because I feel you, the middle slot is always the best. And
Yes.
when we did that final Motley Crue tour, when it was, whether it was the Raskins, or, that we had opening as the band, and then Alice Cooper would go on, and then Motley would go on as they are legitimate headliners, of course, but that sweet spot is that middle slot. Is that the same with comedy?
Yeah. And like, because you guys are so good live, and I'm not just saying that. I mean, you guys really are an amazing band. Even a band like Motley Crue, I'm sure struggles a little bit in the first couple songs because you guys leave a hard act to follow. And even for Motley Crue, it's tough to follow. So, in comedy, you don't want to go on first because they're still getting their drink orders and settling in, getting the layout of the room. So they're not really focused on you yet. And then, going on last, like last night, I think there were 12 comics on the show. So it's a little different. They're tired. They've heard every crowd work question. They've heard every political joke, every modern event joke. So you have to hit them in the head with a hammer that first minute, or they'll just leave because they're tired. And, especially on a work night, I'm assuming most people from last night had to get up this morning and work. So they're looking for any excuse you give them to leave.
But guess what, man? Out of those 12 comics there last night, I know of only one that has his name on the Comedy Store wall. That's like a Faster Pussycat reference, right?
I love it.
You got your name on the Comedy Store wall.
I mean, it's I don't know what the music equivalent would be. Maybe getting your handprints at the Guitar Center or something of that nature. Or I guess the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, that's how. I mean, the Comedy Store is the #1 club in the world, and every comic from New York to LA to the UK to Canada, anywhere in the world, they want their names on that wall. So the only thing I can equate it to that I think people would get is it's like getting your name on the Stanley Cup in hockey. Like, it's never taken off. My name will be in the front of that building. because I had to wait so long to get past. My name is literally in the front of the building because that was the only place left to put the names.
Now, let me ask you that. Is it like sort of a political process, like the way you would get your name or you get your name on the Hollywood Boulevard? Is there a voting process, or do you just have to blow somebody?
Both.
Okay.
And I've got big lips, so um, I mean, it can be political. Like, I don't have a manager or an agent or any representation, so it's a little harder to do it that way. You have a lot of managers calling the booker, "Hey, I'd like my client to get passed at the Comedy Store," and if they're a big enough manager, at Three Arts or William Morris or the big places like that, it's a little easier. What someone like me, who has no one calling for them, you have to be passed based on your comedy talent. So, at times
And you just have to be there, and you have to be in the trenches, because I mean, we've known each other now, and that's where we're going to start with going back to Get Forward. We've known each other now since the has to be late 80s, early mid 80s, somewhere around then.
Yeah, I mean, I was around on the Strip, and I think I met you. I forget who introduced us to each other. It might have been Eric Singer.
Well, here we go. This is where we begin everything. We have to go back to Get Forward. What do you say, Ben? That is a true life sample of Gilby Clarke's Harley that we got for that bit.
Oh, I thought that was Gilby Clarke leaving the Viper Room the other night when they said, "Hey, we want you to play with us at 1 a.m." Okay.
I know. And folks, both Earl and I went to the Viper Room because apparently this is the last week that they're going to have bands there. Who knows if that's true or not, because it doesn't look like they're ready to tear that block down. It doesn't look like it, but you never know. If they did.
They move so fast in the Strip in terms of demolition. I mean, I remember when the House of Blues looked like, oh, they're going to be in business a few more years or a few more months, and it was demoed within a week. Like, it was gone. So,
but I mean, that place, the liquor store in the corner, right next to it, the Viper Room, it used to be called the Central. You do know that it is right there, featured on the Sweet Desolation Boulevard album cover. Do you know that that's it? Yeah.
And it was also in the movie Valley Girl, where Nicolas Cage takes the girl to watch the Plimsolls. So when it was still called the Central back then, and it's an iconic. I mean, it'll be a sad day when that goes, and I've seen the plans for what's going to be put there. It's a monster.
An amazing Chipotle. As long as it's not a CVS there, man. Come on.
I would love that. That's
you
why you get
love
my
it. Dick. I'm going back to Get Forward, and that's how I wanted to clear up things, because, as we said earlier, you've never done a drink, a drug, nothing like that. Apparently, when we met, that's all I did. So I can't remember. Obviously, it's a little bit hazy for me what our initial meeting was, but I know it had something to do with this band that Vic is going to put a picture up of, called the Peppermint Creeps. Am I correct in saying at least that?
Yes, it's they were at the tail end of.
There you go.
I think the first night out we ever had with each other, because it's kind of a long story, but I'll try and trim some of the fat. The great Eric Singer messages me about 4 p.m. on a Saturday, and he's like, "Hey, I've got 2 tickets to go see Kiss. Do you want them?" And I thought he was offering them to me for free. I'm like, "Yeah."
It's Kiss, so how could it be free?
And he's like, "It's $100 each. Gene made me buy the tickets." I'm like, "You were in the band a year ago. Like, you had to buy tickets to go see the band you were in?" So I go over to where he and I think Brent Fitz were living together at the time, and he makes me buy both tickets. I'm like, well, I couldn't find anyone to go. I don't need 2 tickets. He's like, you have to buy both. So he was grinding me in his garage, and so I mean, out of control. This guy. I mean, he's got money for Badlands Records. You need an extra $100.
Dude,
So,
Eric Singer still has per diem from like the Brutal Planet tour. I can guarantee you that.
I mean, I think he still sells bootleg Black Sabbath shirts from his condo. So
Laker
I
jerseys too. He does have a line. He does have a line of discount Laker jerseys that I'm sure he sells. But I don't want to make this a complete interview about Eric Singer, but I do want to point out the fact that he did charge you for 2 Kiss tickets. I love that.
No, I love him. And then he goes, so I take the 2 tickets and I start leaving. He's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to the concert I just bought 2 tickets for. And he's like, can you give me and my friends a ride? I'm like, this is out of control. Like,
I was one of the friends, I think, probably.
Yes. If I'm him, I go, listen, buy 1 ticket since you're driving us to Anaheim, which from I think North Hollywood, that's a close to an hour trip, couple bucks in gas. I was like, take 1 ticket, I'll eat the rest. I mean, it's not like he doesn't work and needs the cash.
Yeah.
So getting into my Ford Expedition are you, Teddy Zigzag, which instantly cost me more in gas given his birth, Stefan Adika, and I believe one more. It was 5 of us.
Pretty much everybody that's been on my podcast.
And Eric's in the front seat telling me how to drive. Dude, you're pressing the gas too much. Dude, you're putting the brake on too much. Put on this music. Put on that music. Here's this band, Shark Island, I want you to listen to. I'm like,
good band, by the way. Shark Island, really good song. I think it was Burning in Paris, but the singer of that band, Shark Island, just a little side note, and this is what I love about the podcast, because we have zero sort of form or zero sort of schedule. We can just go off on these tangents. But I remember that there it is, a direct message from Eric Singer, probably trying to sell you something. That the singer, if there was no singer in Shark Island, there might not be an Axl Rose, because I don't know if you ever saw, what's his name, Robert? Do you remember
Richard
his name?
Black.
Richard Black. You ever see him do his moves early on, dude? All that stuff. And I know I'm not supposed to do this, Vic, because I have really bad internet. I'm going to probably mess up the entire Wi-Fi, but that's part of the moves that he got from Richard Black from Shark Island. Just a little side note.
I saw them, to continue that side note, last week at the Whiskey.
They're back
now. It's it's not even the original bass player, because it's the bass player when they released their big album in '89. So Law of the Order, and I went because I'd always heard the rumors that Axl took all this guy's moves, and I'm telling you, I'm not trying to create controversy here, but from the second he got on the stage, he still got the moves. And I don't know if I agree with his wardrobe choices of a do-rag and like a camouflage Nike sweatshirt, but he does the moves and he does these mic twirls. I mean, I love that.
Not Shark. By the way, that was not Shark Island last week at the Whiskey. That was Shark Island when I saw them back in the 80s. But thank you, Vic, for getting that's quick. That's quick internet research, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think, the bass player and Richard Black, and then Alex Kane, who's like a legend on the Sunset Strip.
He's been on the podcast. We love Alex Kane. He was there at the right at the Viper Room right now. Eric Singer is blowing up for Instagram right now, I think.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know how to mute that.
Notifications.
We're a low budget production here at Skakel Manor. But I'm telling you,
man, you have the same production value that Glenn Sobel has. I mean, in fact, the kitchen backdrop is very much similar to Glenn Sobel's. So I would say that both of you have a very nice, and you have a backstage pass of who?
Bobby
Glenn's?
Rock gave me this from the Vinnie Vincent invasion when he came on the pod.
I love it. Well, that's the thing. You do have your own podcast as well, don't you now? And that's sort of what you are. That's just one of the many things that you're doing. Tell us about your podcast.
Well, it's just called Inappropriate Earl, and it's the podcast that's about everything but nothing at the same time. Like I've had many rock and rollers on, Stephen Piercy, Fred Corey, Joey Allen from Warrant, and then I have pro wrestlers on because I'm a big pro wrestler fan, and I've had athletes on, a lot of comics, of course. So everyone has a podcast, so I'm just following the trends.
Yeah, I'm exactly like you. I feel that podcasts are like herpes. Pretty much everybody has one.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Gardner has a podcast, so he tells you how to landscape on the sly. And I can't believe Eric Singer doesn't have a podcast. For a guy who talks as much as he does, he should have 7 podcasts.
The problem is he wouldn't let anybody else talk, or he would answer everybody else's questions for them. So I just can't believe he doesn't do stand-up. That's what he should just be up there on stage by himself telling people what to do.
Yeah, it'd be the first 4-hour stand-up set. I mean, that guy's out of control. So then I got to finish the story, though.
That's how we wrap it in. We wrapped it back into Eric Singer driving down the car with Teddy and Stefan, and he's beating you up for tickets. So how do we end up there?
So we get to the arena. At the time, it was called the Pond, where the Mighty Ducks play, and he starts leaving to the arena with you guys, and I'm like, hey, I gotta sell this extra ticket. So I have to go across the street where all the scalpers are, and it's brutal there. I don't know if you've ever stood with those guys, but I think the credit score of that corner of the parking lot's about 130, and
it's low, very
so
low.
I just wanted to get my money back, and so I sell mine extra ticket for about $100. I meet you guys at the seats, and then this guy sits next to me halfway through the concert. Clearly, this was the guy who bought from the scalpers. He looks at me and goes, hey, bro, how much did you pay for your ticket? And I thought, oh, man, this guy got taken. I'm just going to lie and say, oh, my friend gave it to me. He knows Kiss's roadie. How much did you pay for your ticket? $750 the guy paid. So, and I'm sure Singer got a cut of that, too.
So we were on the losing end of that. Definitely.
And
how did the Peppermint Creeps work into that story, or was that a completely different time?
No, that's at the end of the show, and it was great watching you guys watch Kiss, because it was like you guys were fans. Like all you guys are successful working musicians, and I remember looking at you, and I think Bobby Blotzer was sitting next to you randomly, and the guy Snake Sabo from Skid Row was, I think, behind me, and it was neat for me, a total non-musician, to see you guys looking like kids, because everyone of our age range loves Kiss. Just I think people forget, like I'm 53, so I saw Kiss in their absolute prime. They were as big as the Beatles were for a brief period in the States. Putting out 4 solo albums in one day. I don't think any band's ever done that before.
Well, what was your Kiss enlightening moment? Because mine was I'm a couple of years older than you. I was born in 65, but the thing is, I think just because of your size, you're a taller gentleman. Why is that size? You seem to be, I just look at you as more mature. Maybe because you never drank or did drugs. You seem more responsible. You seem old. Well, maybe not in that picture. I'm not sure. But you do seem to be older than me in some ways. But then we both have the exact same reference points. I was afraid of Kiss Alive, with the big album that came out. So I didn't really get all in and lean all in until Love Gun. What was your Kiss album that you just leaned all the way in?
Alive 2, because I was obsessed with specifically how Gene looked. You know, they had the
The
four
blood.
pictures. Yeah, and this just looked like, you know, he had this great, like his lower jaw was jetting out, and then Ace looked angelic almost because I think it was like orange lighting, and Peter looked. I don't know where the photographer told him to look, but he was looking in the opposite direction.
I don't think Peter had photo approval at that point. I just think Gene and Paul said, yeah, just use that photo. That'll be fine.
And Paul looked like, you know, Paul, you know, like the front man that he is. And but the first album I bought, like with my own money, was Lick It Up. So I almost identify with both those albums, like at weird, you know, that was a completely different time frame for Kiss, taking off the makeup. And I mean, look at Peter. He looks like he's looking at his accountant going, is the check clear?
What? Dude, if you took the makeup off, I think that would actually be Steven Adler.
Oh, well, I used to live in a building with Steven Adler. I mean, he hit me up once for $10 in the lobby, and I'm like, I know enough about the music business where he got publishing on Appetite. I'm like, dude, I should be asking you for money. And he's in my lobby at this building in Century City with holes in his socks, these leggings that I think he got from Jermaine Stewart, the guy who's saying we don't have to take our clothes off. And like,
what is this deal with drummers? What is this deal with drummers wanting to take you and sort of, you know, soak you for money?
Well, the only drummer who has it, Brent Fitz, who I was the best man at his first wedding. You know, he's been the only decent drummer in my life.
And Brent Fitz currently plays in Slash, featuring Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators on a Sunday afternoon with a Camaro car. How long is their name, by the way?
I told Slash when I last saw him, I don't think the band name's long enough. Maybe get Izzy Stradlin in the band and call it Slash, featuring Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators and the Juju Hounds.
With special guest Izzy Stradlin.
Right, yeah. So
let's ring it back. You know what? Ring it back in. I still need my Peppermint Creeps story, because we actually put up, you know, I went on the internet and Googled a photo of Peppermint Creeps just to, you know, find out how did I meet the Peppermint Creeps that night, or was I blotto? Was I gone at that point? What was I doing?
Well, I think we all, after the Kiss concert, were like scattered rats backstage. And I remember I'm in the elevator with the drummer from Slaughter, Blas Elias, and we're looking for catering because he was hungry. And
he wasn't asking you for something. I'm sure he was. No. He had some sort of grift. He's a drummer. He's probably asking you for something.
Well, he was asking me where catering was, and I said I'm a big fan, and he looked at me like I was speaking Swahili to him. So, you know, somehow we all get back to the car, and Singer once again trying to play the DJ. I had to get gas by the pond. And of course, Singer had alligator fingers when I asked him for some gas money.
Oh, yeah. I know those alligator fingers. You know what? That's Eric Singer's money squints. That's another way of saying it, because, you know, when he takes it out, it hasn't seen the light of day, so it just squints.
Oh, if you ever need to develop a canyon, just have Singer drop a penny into a gopher hole.
Wow, this has just turned into a Eric Singer roast, and he has no idea. Right now, he's probably sleeping somewhere in North Hollywood going, man, this is going to be a great day. I think the Lakers are going to probably make a lot of changes on the next year's roster. And you're going to go, what is Skakel and Roxie doing to me? They're ruining me.
Right now, he's telling Tommy to get him some coffee, but
oh man, you had some good. You know what? I can tell it's out of love, but you had a couple good comments last night in the show about Kiss and these bands that you grew up listening to. What got you into them just to, from the beginning? What did get you into rock and roll?
Well, I mean, Kiss originally did, just because they were so big when I was in grade school, which is crazy to me. They're still touring. Like I remember buying Love Gun in the 4th grade. That they were my favorite band from the start, just because. I don't know about you. You probably have a much more refined musical palette than I do, but I just want to be entertained. I don't need to hear songs about the rainforest or, like I love Springsteen, but sometimes when he talks about, human rights and all that stuff, which is great, I don't want, I can watch the news and hear that. So I just liked how Kiss, you don't have to think about what Gene is singing about in Christine 16. It's not like, what is he talking about? Little crazy.
Well, he is now actually talking. Couldn't really sing about that now. But the thing is, you're exactly right. And here's a little foreshadowing for our European tour that we're about to embark on in the Alice Cooper Band. I think sometimes bands should just shut up and rock.
Yeah.
Because that's maybe a song that might be worked into our set over there. There's a little Easter egg for you, Alice Cooper fans. But, just shut up and rock and be entertaining. I personally enjoy any band that is sort of derivative of the Beatles, because I think the Beatles they did it all perfectly. And they did the political stuff as well, but they did the psychedelic stuff, the entertaining, the amazing songs, amazing musicianship. But bands that are sort of offspring of that, I've always been huge fans of, and it includes Alice Cooper a bit. He's a big Beatles fan, but also Cheap Trick, Oasis, those types of bands as well.
Oh, I love Cheap Trick. I've seen them probably 20 times, always opening for someone, which I kind of bums me out because they should have been bigger. To me, just as a fan.
There was an era, there was a window of right around Dream Police where they were doing their own arena tour and stuff, but they've always been probably the ultimate support band because they are, they just come on in that middle slot and they just bang it. And then they actually, have to inspire the headlining bands to, step it up a notch, I think.
Yeah, because they have so many identifiable hits, and they're so good musically, at least to my ears. You could shut your eyes and, they're playing. It sounds just like the record, which some people love, some people don't. But I always, there's a band I listen to today called Bowling for Soup. And to me, they're like the modern day Cheap Trick. This band should be bigger, but I think they're in that spot Cheap Trick is, of being a support act that makes the headliner work. Okay.
I've always heard a lot about Bowling for Soup. I just have never listened to them as intently. It's like I hear the name, I get excited, and then I don't follow through. So thank you for suggesting Bowling for Soup. I'm gonna really go check them out now.
Oh, I highly do, because they've got that humor that Cheap Trick does. If you ever seen Cheap Trick live, Rick Nielsen will fire off a few jokes. The last time I saw them at the Greek Theater, they stopped mid-song and Rick Nielsen goes like this, like he's looking for someone. He's like, "Hey, there's Blackie Lawless. Blackie, park my car and give me the keys." What? It's very random.
He just completely roasted fucking Blackie Lawless, who is a Raiders fan, by the way. We're gonna get into sports and we're never gonna really finish that story about the Peppermint Creeps, are we?
I am.
Okay.
So we get the gas, and Eric Singer's looking at the dollar signs on the gas thing, thinking, how can I get a cut of this deal? Maybe a lot of Gene by the gas station.
Learn from the best.
Gene's actually, he's out of control. I met him once at a party in Malibu, and obviously he's a very distinct looking individual. Not many people are wearing a leather jacket when it's 105 out, but he's talking to me, and the whole time I see he's got his hand by his side, but it's going like this. and it didn't. And there was a girl right behind him, and halfway through this conversation, I realized he's fingering this girl as he's talking to me, and then the conversation's wrapping up, and he goes to shake my hand with the girl, with the hand he's been fingering this girl with. And in his hand, he's got a KISS credit card trying to sell it to me. I'm like,
wait,
I'm being serious.
But that's talent. If he could do that maneuver with a credit card in his hand, or was it the other hand that he had the credit card in? Because if he could, that's like pretty ambidextrous.
Well, I think the credit card might have been up her beaver, and so.
Dude, now I know you were born in the 60s because you just used that word. That just gave it all. That gave the game away right there.
Well, I'm trying to clean it up.
I have not heard that word and that term. Please, Vic, do not go on the internet and look for an actual beaver just so you can, it isn't a sort of swampy animal that does dwell and makes dams, as far as I'm concerned.
I didn't want to say, he was fingering.
All right, I got it. We all got it.
So we start driving back, and you pipe in for the first time all evening. Hey guys, I know this great after party off of Highland. Great. It's kind of neat for me to be with all you famous musicians. Like, it would be like if you were in a car with 4 famous comics, it'd be kind of neat. So we go to this party right by the Hollywood Bowl. I'll never forget, and I might lose some of the people who don't know this area, Highland and Santa Monica area. And it was like a very weird industrial business with a massive parking lot. And of course, you knew the guy at the door. And we go in, and there's like an ant farm of horny people, pit bulls running around.
A lot of beavers. There's probably a lot of beavers.
I mean, I thought it was like a combination of being at a party. I think that's my ex-girlfriend. Hello.
Or the girl that was in the front seat, in the front row at the Alice Cooper concert this Sunday, because we would not do this episode, without addressing her, because she cut off your front row seat. Yeah,
I mean, I get it. People get excited, and the tickets were reasonably priced, so I was having such a good time. Fine, you can sit in front of me. And I think she wanted to make love with your drummer Glenn, and I don't know if he'll see this, but I think I cock blocked him because she was just staring at him like Vincent D'Onofrio in Full Metal Jacket. And
she was enamored with the wallet chain. That's what it was. You get hypnotized by that wallet chain.
Well, I told her, I'm like, listen, honey, do you really want to have sex with a guy who wears board shorts and an Affliction shirt? And she looks at me and goes, yeah. I'm like, hey, whatever. By the way, great looking girl, great body, but looked like one of the guys from Leatherwolf. What does she moisturize with? Cactus?
Dude, here's the thing. Every single one of your disparaging comments has been at a drummer. So I feel that you have a history with some sort of drummer. You have some sort of drummer issues. Some people have daddy issues. You have drummer issues.
I love Glenn. I'm telling you, half the reason I go see you guys, one for you and Nita, because it's neat to see friends who in such a great gig, but he's such a fun drummer to watch. Like, he's a showman, so I love him. And he played on the 2006 Shark Island album. A lot of people don't know that. So
wow, good to bring that thing around. That Richard Black reference, I love it, man. You're good.
So we're at this party, and in the side room, you say, "Hey, Skakel, you got to see this band. They're amazing. They're like Poison with less talent." And
ow.
You said it. I didn't.
I don't remember saying anything from about 1988 to 92. So that was a dark period for me. I just,
it's all good. You're a survivor. You have occasional glass of water now. It's nice.
Oh man, only when I come here with my buds. When I'm here with Paul and Keith and those guys. They turned me back into a frat boy and stuff. But the thing is, the way that you might have been not fanboying, but just be happy to be around musicians on that night. I'm happy to be around comedians. That's why I like having them on the podcast. I I'm DMing them. I'm very happy to go to comedy clubs where we're on the road. Why do you think there is this mutual sort of admiration for each other within comedy and rock and roll?
Because I think comics all want to be rock stars, so we respect what you do. Like, I have absolutely no musical talent, so I admire you guys for that. And I think, I won't say all musicians, but I think a fair amount want to be comics, because it's, you always want what you don't have. I would love to play guitar in front of like a sold out Greek theater show. I can only imagine the rush that experience gives you. And maybe you, or like, I know John Mayer's tried to do comedy. Here's a dude who gets chicks up the yin yang, and he still wants to do what I do, which is insane to me.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, he went on one night at the Comedy Store before me, and he asked me afterwards, "Earl, what'd you think of my act?" I said, "John, what would you think if I interrupted one of your concerts playing guitar shit?"
Yes, you've moved on to a guitar player. That's good. That's progress. But the thing is, I agree with you, but there is this sort of admiration, and I think sports guys come into it as well, because all rock and rollers kind of want to be a bit like sports guys. We admire them, what they can do, but there's a lot of sports guys that want to be up on stage with us. I will say, though, of all those three genres, all performance entertainment type of stuff, you stand-up comedians, that whole genre is the hardest gig to be.
Well, I would agree with you. 100%, because
you're by yourself.
You can be in a bad band, and you could, like, if you're the singer or the guitar player, and you could look behind at the drummer and go, or the bass player, the keyboard player, and go, well, they're not keeping up. They're the reason this band sucks. I was at a concert. I won't. Well, I'll say it.
Say it.
And this is not an Eric Singer joke, actually. I saw Kiss once with Peter Criss, and I'm a big fan of the original four. Like I said, they were as big as the Beatles at one point when I was a kid. But Peter was clearly struggling that night, because literally every song, either Tommy, Gene, or Paul would like turn back and give him some kind of instructions, because I don't know what was wrong. So Tommy, Gene, and Paul that night could say, "Hey, Peter was the reason the show wasn't good." But like last night, if I was bombing, I can't turn around and blame the curtain. It's it's on you, which is the ultimate high risk, high reward. When it goes well, like last night was one of the better sets I've had there. I'm still high from the performance, like feel good. And so
you definitely should, because the fact that you were able to overcome like just that initial that sort of initial sort of 1 or 2 minutes, it's like, where people want to shift around, they want to shift seats, and you're just like, and there's noise coming from the hallway, but you incorporate it into the set. And at one point you were saying that you were filming your Netflix special, and you're like people are going to be watching it, and they're not even going to know they're in it until they see it on Netflix. I mean, do you have your Netflix special in the works, or do you have any of where can people go see just Earl stand up? What streaming platforms do you have your show on?
I mean, there is a special in the works. It's most comics would lie and say they have 7 things going on. I actually want to do a special like last night, where, because like the joke I said last night, all specials look the same. Packed room.
Packed, yeah.
Who wants that? So, I want people to be on Netflix or wherever the special ends up and go, wait a minute, this is not a packed room. Half the crowd's gone. I'm going to watch this. And I pitched that once to Comedy Central, and the guy just stared at me. It was like, yeah, our fans aren't that smart. So
Well, I like it too. You could be exclusively on YouTube.
yeah,
Exclusively on YouTube.
uh,
Why not?
I
I've
mean,
found some great specials. I found some great comedians that way that started on that and then obviously moved on to their own specials. But that's the way I found Andrew Schultz. That's the way I
right.
discovered Andrew Schultz years ago, just from YouTube. There's an East Coast comedian called Ryan Long. I don't know if you know him, but very, very funny dude. Very funny. I found him on just, going through YouTube and stuff.
I mean, YouTube is where you can find a lot of clips of me, and I was on that show Roast Battle on Comedy Central, so you can go on Comedy Central's site and see all my battles, and but YouTube, I have a lot of fun clips. But to get on Netflix, you have to have a manager or an agent pushing for you. So that's the next step, is to get an advocate to make those type of phone calls, because it's.
Right.
I've gone about as far as I can go on my own in terms of, like just the fact that I got on the Comedy Store wall on my own with no manager calling for me I should feel pretty good about that. But
well, it's the Skakel legacy, isn't it? Because as you are royalty in a way, because you have a sort of Kennedy connection. You are related to the Kennedys. We talked about that really quick. So was it that Skakel legacy that got you there? But you said it didn't help you with your comedy career, though.
Well, my Aunt Ethel is probably one of the most powerful women in the world, from the standpoint of she could call anyone and they pick up on the first ring. She's Ethel Kennedy.
Wow.
So I've never asked her to, hey, can you call the head of CAA and make it happen? But she would, like, that guy, or it might be a girl. They would Ethel Kennedy on the phone. Bing. Yeah, I've got my cousin Earl. They don't want to hear that.
So you don't think at all there was any sort of calls to Mitzi over at the Comedy Store or maybe Pauly Shore got he was bribed to put it on? I don't know. I don't know how that works.
Well, I got lucky. Well, I mean, I got super lucky, and luck, I'm sure, in the music world too,
plays a part. Always plays a part.
I was opening up for Rob Schneider, and then I did some comedy. Hey-o!
Wow, Schneider Slam.
No, I love Rob Schneider. I mean, that guy showed me. About 9 years into comedy, I'm not going to lie and say I was thinking of quitting, because I love it too much to quit. But, I'm like the Anvil of comics. I'm never going to quit. Just a little reference for you there.
I love Anvil, and if you have to see that movie, that's another great movie.
But it's a movie about persistence. Like, these guys just plugged away, and they got a Netflix, not special, but documentary. So
you're going to keep going, no matter.
Yeah, I mean, I love it too much. Like, if you do comedy, especially in Los Angeles, for fame or money, you'll quit in a year, because there is no money in it. You have to be in at the clubs, and no one's in at the clubs in your first year or two. I mean, it took me 13 years to get past at the store. So, but even that was luck, because when I was opening up for Rob Schneider in, I think, Arizona, the future booker of the Comedy Store was working there as a manager. And he came to LA and got the job as the booker. And he's like, I'm going to showcase you, because I saw you a couple of years ago. And there was a lot of pressure, because I'm so loved in the comedy community. I don't have one enemy that I know of, that everyone was telling him, you got to pass Earl. He's the best. He's been up here forever. He works the hardest out of all of us. So he came up to me and he was like, I'm going to showcase you, but I'm not going to pass you just because everyone wants you to be up here. You got to deliver. And I probably had the best 5 minute. I mean, 5 minutes isn't a set, but I guess in the music world, it would be the equivalent of get one song. You better kill it with this one song. And I did. So, a little bit of luck helped.
I love it. How does that work? Because what is the average set is an hour, right? If you're a headliner, you get an hour. But when you're in the clubs, do you have to pack it in like the way Alice Cooper would when we did the Motley Crue tour? We had to just pack everything into a 40-minute set. What would normally be a 90-minute set, we had to pack into 45 minutes. So it's just nothing but the hits, right? And that's how do you go about trimming all that stuff? Because, and perhaps a lot like a musician, you think your jokes are like your babies. Everything is good. Every song that you write is a hit song. But how do you distinguish yourself what you feel is the best? Is it by crowd, sort of reaction, or is it your gut feeling?
Well, it depends. Like if you're in the smaller room, last night I was in the main room. There's a smaller room called the original room where you get 15-minute sets. Everyone gets 15 minutes, even if you're last. So you have to do a lot of word economy. I guess in the music lingo, if you had a long solo in the middle of a song, you would cut that out and go with the shorter solo. So like that Rocky joke I told last night, which is, it can be as long as 20 minutes.
You were threatening. You were definitely threatening, because that's another thing. That light, that red light goes on, and for those that don't know, is that a universal thing? A red light for a comedian? And and basically, is it like Pavlovian? At one point, you just start to freak out when you see a red light that goes on, or you just have like 3 or 4 minutes. What is the average time when that light goes on that you have to be off stage before your Axl Rose?
Well, when you have, you mean William Bailey? Come on.
Yeah.
By the way, did you know the real name of Ricky Rocket, the drummer from Poison, is Richard Ream? Why would you do that to your kid? Name him Dick Ream? Out of control.
But then again, another drummer,
100%.
Earl Skakel, drummer issues. But I want to get back to that red light, because it does come on. And can you actually maybe you are beloved in the comedy world because you respect the light? What about comedians that don't respect the light and just keep on going? Are they usually like banned, or they get a sit down, or what happens?
Well, when you're in the smaller room and you only have a 15-minute set, you get the light. You're supposed to get off in 3 minutes. It's like, that's the original room in that picture of the Comedy Store.
Okay.
So you
were
get the
right,
light.
Vic.
You get 3 minutes to wrap it up. But last night, since I was asked to do an hour or close to it, they give you the light at like a half hour, just to be like, hey, this is where you're at. And
okay.
I'm so loved up there. All the sound guys are like, dude, we'll just give you the light at a half hour, but you can go on forever. Like, you do whatever you want. So because it gives the time for the waitresses to
wrap up,
maybe sell some extra drinks, wrap up, and then they can start cleaning the room where there's no audience members. So. But not a lot of people can do that spot, like to do an hour in the main room, because like you saw, it can be tough. There's a lot of distractions. There's the show upstairs letting out, so you hear that noise. There's the original room noise. There's the kitchen is right by the main room, so it's kind of a sign that the booker likes you, because she trusts you to handle all that insanity. Plus, follow 10 to 12 comics who are all on TV, movies. It's not an easy spot. So I'm happy to do it. But like some road gigs, to answer your question about the light, like if you're in a casino, they want people gambling. So the shows, the headliner, even someone like Rob Schneider or Bert Kreischer or whoever, they're not asked to do more than 45 minutes, because the casino doesn't want gamblers in a comedy show where they're not gambling.
Not spending money. Yeah, exactly.
So the light can mean different things, but you asked people who run the light, and there's definitely a few who do, and it depends on how big a star they are. There's several comics who will obliterate the light and do
no respect for the light. They don't respect
for the comics who go. It's not so much the comic who goes on after them,
Mhm.
you know, it's for like the comic who is scheduled to go on at 1 a.m. They're
Mm.
now literally going on at close to 2.
Yeah, or maybe even cut. Maybe even cut.
Yeah, I've had that happen to me sometimes.
Yeah.
Not often, but where the manager will be like, "Hey, dude, you can do 5 minutes, but you know we got to wrap up." And because I think that it's a domino effect that you know there was a girl the other night who did on a 15-minute spot 47 minutes, and
Whoa.
it's just a
Whoa.
big yeah, it's just a big fu to the club, to the comics going on after, to the
Yeah.
wait staff. But you know, she's a big star, so they
Gotcha.
put up with it.
Well, the
So
thing is, you did say this relationship you have with the sound man, and this is all coming back, folks, to our Peppermint Creeps story, because there was a band very similar to the Peppermint Creeps back in those days that did have more talent than Poison, more glam sort of looking. And I had sent Vic a picture of it. Hopefully he'll be able to put that up. But it's a picture of no, it's not that one, Vic. I know you're
Black
trying to
and
guess.
blue.
Yeah, it was Black and Blue, but I'm talking about the Zeros. And I'm
Yes.
talking about your relationship that you have with the sound, or with the sound technician Danny there. And I want to talk about, because you guys both came to our show on Sunday at the Greek, and the Zeros were a great band. And now I know that he runs the sound, and he does a bunch of other stuff as well. And the Zeros just did a reunion show, I think, back in the Whiskey a couple days ago. You were around for that. I'm giving Vic so much time to find that picture I sent. Now he can't. He's looking up and going, I can't find it. But maybe I didn't send it to him, because this is the Hangover edition. We've been talking almost for an hour with comedian Earl Skakel, and I haven't even brushed into anything I was going to talk about. So I'm thinking at one point, Earl, we're going to definitely have to have a part 2.
Oh, absolutely.
A part 2 when we both have, well, you have good internet, but it seems to be like, Vic, is my internet cleared up? Has everything been better? Okay. So we're definitely going to have a part 2 though, because I don't want to keep it too long. We have stuff to do. We all have stuff to do. I do want to address the bear in the room, not the beaver in the room. Also, we do have to take a really quick little commercial break. I think we'd like to do it for System 12 today, if that's possible, Vic, and then we'll come back with a few more questions for Earl, but he's got to get going. Alice Cooper teddy bear. He's amassing a huge amount of fans right now from that naked shot that Vic put up, that torso shot. A lot of our fans are asking for more of those types of shots, and we'll get into your workout regime. But first, a word from System 12. All right, coming right up. Hello, Ryan Roxie here from the Alice Cooper Band, and I'd like to talk a little bit about one of my favorite things, playing guitar. Here at the RGA headquarters, which stands for Roxie Guitar Army, by the way, we've put together a guitar learning system that will get you playing and understanding the guitar faster than any other teaching program out there. We call it the System 12 Guitar Method, and it's designed to make the most out of your time, your effort, and your passion for learning guitar. By combining new school technology, old school mentoring, and the number 12, we have invented a new way to teach guitar. And over the past year, we have helped so many people who wanted to start or continue their guitar journey do exactly that. Now, we'd like to help you. There's never been a better time to start learning guitar than right now. If you think it's too hard, the System 12 makes it easy. If you think it'll take too much time, the System 12 will have you playing in 12 weeks. And if you think it's too expensive, the entire System 12 costs less than what one private guitar lesson would cost you at your local music store. Check out the official site or the links below in the description of this video to join the RGA and get started on your guitar journey with the System 12 Guitar Method. Now, let's get back into the trenches for some more rock and roll. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the ride. Mwah! That's it. There you go. If you ever do want to start learning guitar, I will send that over to you. We're here with Earl Skakel. Just talking the talk, man. I really didn't think it was going to, I didn't have much of a script. I'm hungover for seeing your amazing show. I just wanted to talk about some of the stuff you had done last night, but then maybe invite you over to a barbecue tonight, seeing what you're up to. I don't know how much time you have for us right now, but is another 10 minutes okay for you? Are you okay?
I see someone in chat saying, I want that teddy bear. Well, go see Alice in concert, and for $40, you can get one.
Or, you know what you did wear last night? You wore both Ryan Roxie wristbands on stage. And here's the cool thing. Earl was like, hey, let's take a picture with him. I think it'll get you some good press. So thank you for that. You know, do we have that shot of the two of us with his I just sent that over to you too, Vic. That I definitely sent you. Me and my producer are yelling at each other right now vicariously. It's all right. He's great. You know, he goes online.
It's a very awkward pose because I'm like hugging you, but I'm like going like this.
You want to feature the wristbands. I do love that. That's great.
And you can go to ryanroxie.com and you get bundles. You could buy 2 and get some guitar picks and In the Trenches t-shirt. And you can also order a limited edition Eric Singer butt plug.
There you go. There you go. Back to ES, baby. Here's the thing. We got to talk about not so much about Eric Singer, not so much about me, but we got to talk about what you're doing as far as your podcast, which we addressed earlier, and also your voiceover work.
Yes.
You've been doing a lot of that as well. Tell folks what where they can hear your voice, at least on the voiceover stuff.
Well, if you know and I don't know what to call him. He's more than just a rapper. He's like the modern day P. Diddy, Tyler, the Creator.
Everybody freaked out last night when you said that, when you said Tyler, the Creator. And, you know, because I'm old school, I'm like, yeah, okay, I know, but I don't really know.
Well, when I met him at the Comedy Store, we were doing roast battle upstairs, and I was basically at the time before I started battling people, I was the kind of the sidekick, and if the room hit a lull, I would say something to get the crowd going. And Tyler was sitting in the front row, and I was just hammering him on his appearance. And I'm like, hey, everyone, give it up for Roger from What's Happening. And
that was a good reference. That's my school. I was laughing. Everyone's like, what's happening? Rerun. Was it Roger Rerun?
Roger was the skinny guy, and then Rerun was the fat guy.
He is Roger from What's Happening. And wait, there was Roger, Rerun, and then there was a third friend.
Dwayne.
Dwayne.
Hey.
I love it. Was that Dwayne? That was his line? I thought Rerun's line. And there you go. There's Earl Skakel completely giving me some huge publicity for the Ryan Roxie wristbands. And and if the teddy bear was in the other hand, it might be the perfect shot. I don't know.
Well, I couldn't afford to lose the teddy bear at $40. So the teddy bear stayed home. Out of control. $40. This thing costs $2 to make in China. Come on, get out of here.
All right. So go back to Earl, the Creator, and how the voiceover stuff happened.
So he comes, it's like the story I told on stage. He comes up to me afterwards and he's like, I want you to be my dad. And I had no idea who he was. Like, I could literally tell you who the third bass player was in Night Ranger, but I have no, like the last current band I got into were the Killers. So I don't know who like current artists are really. So I'm like, who are you? He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm Tyler, the Creator. And I literally said to him, great, I'm Earl the comic. And he's like, I want you to be the dad of my cartoon. And I'm like, what's your cartoon about? He's like, oh, it's a family of 5 black jellyfish. We adopt a white human. And you have the deepest, most baritone, soulful voice I've ever heard. And I'm a Grammy winner. I know voices. And it's, been 3 seasons. And it's called The Jellies. And that's me. It kind of looks like me too.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I see it.
And he's just, I can't say enough nice things about him. Like, he's just so humble and so good at everything he does. That's why I kind of compare him to P. Diddy. He has his own clothing line. He has his own store on Fairfax. It's got a line around the block every day. And he says, please, he says, thank you, good job. But, even if he didn't like something I did vocally, and my voice is so deep, I'm not asked to do anything else other than talk, just
be you.
Yeah. I mean, I can do a high-pitched voice, but I'm not going to get paid for it. So he's just been a dream, but he's so successful that the cartoon did very good, great ratings, but he moved on to other things, and but that's his character. Like, he had a successful show before that on Adult Swim called The Loiter Squad. I'm going to do music now, and all right, then I'm going to do this cartoon, and now I'm going to do Coachella, and now I just won a Grammy, and so
solid place, man. That's great, and it's great that you're part of that legacy with the Jellies. You can check it out. Have you had him on your own podcast, Inappropriate Earl?
I have not. I would love to. I've had his writing partner on, and his best friend. He doesn't roll with a huge posse. He has one. I'm sure he has many friends, but he has one ride or die friend. He is his best friend from school, and but he doesn't really do a lot of promotion. Like, he's kind of almost anti. He's like, I'm good at what I do. Here's the product. I'm not going on this podcast or that podcast to shill for it. If you know me, you know it's out. And he's very not antisocial, but he just keeps to himself. Like, he's really.
Well, I think what was lost in your complete story of Tyler the Creator and how you got your voiceover gig with the Jellies, what was completely lost is that you did mention that the third bass player in Night Ranger. I find hard to believe, because I don't think there was 3 bass players in Night Ranger, and if there was, who is the third bass player? Is it Robbie Crane? That's just my guess. It's going to be Robbie Crane.
Robbie Crane, that guy won't turn down a gig. If we called Robbie Crane right now and said, hey, that comic Earl Skakel, he's doing a polka version of Rat, he'd be like, well, where's the studio? He's like Stallone in the mid '80s. He didn't turn down any scripts.
But you were fibbing a little bit about Night Ranger having 3 bass players, because I think the only bass player they've ever had is also the lead singer.
Yeah, but they did a few ghost musicians in the studio. Come on. We all know Jean Beauvoir, by the way, who still owes me money, was the bass player on Animalize and Asylum. Oops.
And the Plasmatics.
But like, we all know he was in the Plasmatics. But if you listen, that's probably Singer calling me right now. Out of control, this kid. He's like, see, Eric Singer doesn't use Alexis. He used Tommy. Tommy, call Earl Skakel. But
or what did you say last night? You referred to him, the guy that they dress in Ace Frehley's outfit.
What is this? The Jewish Menudo? Because I'm not saying Kiss fans aren't the most well together people, but so I at a Kiss concert recently, and it's Tommy and Eric, and the guy next to me is so blasted. He's like, "Man, Ace has never looked better." I'm like, "Yeah, he hasn't." Get this guy out of here.
Well, it must be that he must follow the same workout regime that you do to get in shape for all those photos. And my question to you is that where your love of sports comes in? Is because you're you were so in love with your own body and working it out and making it look good that got you into sports? Because I know you're a huge like hockey in particular, right?
Yeah, well, I love hockey because there's Mark Pavlich from Team USA. That's a nice picture pull. But looks
a little like Richard Black from Shark Island. If you really think about it, Vic, go back to that picture. You never seen those two in the same room together, and he's probably doing some moves.
I'm telling you, last week, because I really, going back to Shark Island.
And we're going to eventually end up at Peppermint Creeps. That's how we'll end the podcast, I believe. But going back to Shark Island, please do tell.
Because the first song, the rest of the band is out there, and they started like 20 minutes late. So it's like 12:30. And like, I get it. You want to make an appearance and make it like people wait a little bit. So the rest of the band's like, I wouldn't say jamming, but they're, humming their instruments. And then here comes Richard Black.
Yeah. Get that Wi-Fi all messed up, Vic.
And I'm telling you, it's like the rumor is that Richard Black walked in once on Axl Rose watching VHS tapes of his. I guess they're. No, I'm being serious. Like,
no, did that really happen?
I don't know.
That's urban legend. That's total. I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, they say
they did.
Because this is back when Shark Island. I think they were called the Sharks at the time.
They were definitely called the Sharks. Yes, and Richard Black. The reason why I got a pair of white Capezios, which, if anybody knows what Capezios is, then you definitely grew up in the 1980s. The reason why I got a pair of white Capezios was because that's what Richard wore on stage as well. You know what they are? Do you know what Capezios are? Okay, all right.
What are you going to ask me next? Do I know what members only is? Get out of here, man.
Parachute pants.
Right.
Yeah, I got the whole thing. So getting back somehow to sports and your love of it, what got you into hockey?
Well, it's funny, like back in the late 70s and early 80s, the LA Kings, they weren't on TV in the local LA market because, it's just sports in the late 70s and early 80s. You got to remember, this is at a time when the NBA finals were on tape delay after local news. And that's what basketball got treated. So you can imagine hockey is going to get the worst treatment than that. But somehow I got the New York Ranger games on cable. We had the New York, it was called WOR. And so I became a Ranger fan, and they had this player who I oddly enough speak to on Facebook now, which totally blows my mind. His name was Barry Beck. And this is at a time where players didn't wear helmets. And he had this afro, and he was the biggest player in the league, and he was the best fighter, and he was a great body checker, and I just became obsessed with him. And then
he's what they would call a goon or
he was a good player too. Like he was probably a
policeman, a goon. No,
well, a goon is someone like, say, like a Joey Koser who
Ty Domi
would be a goon. Bob Probert, who was probably the number one fighter of all time, but he was also a really good player. So I started focusing in on Barry Beck and then the Rangers as a whole, and then I just fell in love with the sport because it's hockey players are they're a different breed of tough. Like they play with broken legs. There's Barry Beck, and he kind of looks like me back in the day. They're just, you see like Dwight Howard of the Lakers can't play because his pinky hurts. Hockey players play with broken hands. I love the grittiness of the sport more so than others. And it's still to see hockey live, I say it's like a Kiss concert. Like, and I mean, I'm being completely serious for once. Like you see Kiss, or you hear a Kiss record, and really any record, I don't know how you as a musician think of them, but like as a fan, I'm just, okay, this is a cool song. But then you see it live with the bombs and the explosions and the lasers and flying out over the crowd and the drum riser going to the arena. You're like, this is the best song I've ever heard. That's kind of like hockey live. Hockey live is just the energy.
You got to see the game live. Yeah. My first hockey game ever was Bethany actually took me to that to my first hockey game in New York City. It was New York Rangers versus the LA Kings, and I was hooked ever since then. Again, one of those things that you have to watch live to really, really appreciate it. Just like probably like a Kiss concert, an Alice Cooper concert. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors, folks. You know that.
Yeah, but I love Alice on the records too. Like me, my favorite song is probably House of Fire. And no, I just love it. I don't know why. I think the video I've always loved. And he did.
Should I tell him what you did and what we didn't do because we're idiots? Well, I tried to make it happen, but there was a deal set in place that you offered $5,000 cash if we would play House of Fire at the Greek Theater. But was there another contingency too? Did we have to do it like?
Oh no, I just I was being completely serious, and I'm sure if you went to Alice and said, "Hey, I got this comic friend. He wants to hear House of Fire for $5,000." I'm sure that's not a lot of money to Alice, but I don't know how it would be divvied up. Uh,
I was willing to split it with all 5 members of the band, and then maybe have Alice pull a favor. But a lot of crazy shit happened that last week on our tour. But happy to say that you were able to see the full lineup. Nita's knee, she had jacked her knee a couple shows before. I mean, it was insane that she couldn't walk the day before the Greek show, and then she's running around all over the Greek. So I'm very happy that we were able to end leg 1 of the tour before we go off to Europe on a high note and with all the full lineup. So you were able to see that as well.
Well, I mean, it was an amazing. I've seen you guys now with this current lineup probably 5 or 6 times, and I've never seen a bad show. You guys look like you're friends. Like, you guys look like you're having fun, and so that makes it fun for me. I sat front row for your guys' show in Anaheim at Motley Crue, and I thought you guys were better than them. I know you can't really probably agree or whatever.
No, I appreciate you saying that, but I thought there were certain nights that we brought our A game. We did as much as we could. We tried to bring our A game every single night, and just like being that middle slot, that good support band. Hopefully, it gave Motley some inspiration to go out and do some kick-ass shows, because they did some great. They did so many great shows on that 2-year tour that we ended up doing with them. So that was just, I think back about it, go, what, man, that was a perfect bill for us to be on. I wish we were on it again, to be honest with you, but you never know, never say never. And being a friendly atmosphere that we have within the band, we have a friendly atmosphere in the chat room, which is on our Ryan Roxie, a YouTube official channel. Thank you guys each and every week for showing up and being part of the podcast. In fact, so much that we try to reward people that have been in the podcast and been supporting it with our fan of the week. And this week's fan of the week, we have a little special guest for Vic. Run it now. He doesn't have it. I sent it to you, bud. It's in your emails, friend. That's why. Sandra Oglees. Oh, she's not there. Now Vic's okay. It's Sandra Oglees. Oh. Federica's freaking out because she made a sign for Sandra, and you know what? It's okay, folks. This is the hangover episode of In the Trenches, so maybe not. I'm going to take it. I'm taking it on the chin. It's all my fault. It's me drink. It's going out to see Earl Skakel last night at the clubs, where Earl doesn't drink. He doesn't do drugs. He just does fucking kick-ass comedy. But he inspired me and my buds to go out and have a couple cocktails, and now I'm paying the price for it. So, Sandra, you're going to be our fan of the week next week as well. And next week, our guest. Do we have that, Vic? Give me a thumbs up. We don't. Okay, great. This is awesome. We're going to have part 2 as well with Earl Skakel, because he's been gracious enough to spend so much time. We've barely even scratched the surface of we scratched the surface of Eric Singer a lot during the episode, but we never got back, when all is said and done, to, did we see the Peppermint Creeps?
We did. So, that party was, it's hard. You had to be there because there were so many side rooms and just people walking around in the days, and you finally find the room that the Peppermint Creeps are playing, and you're like, Skakel, you got to see this band. And listen, I'm not a musician. I can't critique someone's musical abilities, but I'll just say this. The drummer from the Peppermint Creeps, he made the guy from Def Leppard look like an octopus. Out of control.
That's what they used to call the original drummer of the Alice Cooper band. He's like
Neil Smith?
Neil Smith, exactly. They called him, Bob Ezrin said, he's like, watching Neil Smith play drums is like watching an octopus fall out of a tree.
Like you, have my two fondest memories of that Anaheim show was, I was dating this new girl, and I bought the front row tickets, and then they had a side bonus for $500 each. You could meet Alice after the show. And I'm like, my comedy's doing pretty good. Probably not a lot of people can afford that. So we'll basically be alone with this legend. And it worked out. So I paid $500 each. So another $1,000 on top of the concert tickets. So after you guys get off stage, we run back there to the meet and greet. And there's like 3 people there. So he meets the first person, and then my girlfriend at the time. And then I thought, I'm going to try and be funny right now. So someone escorts me to Alice, and he's very nice, and he extends his hand. I'm like, "Hey, Alice, it's great to meet you for $500."
Did he like it, or did he get it?
It was this, like, not that.
Okay. Best time to meet Alice Cooper is when you're in a mall somewhere in America, and wherever your local mall is, go check out Alice and go and probably hit an H&M or a Hot Topic, one of those two.
And then the second memory is when Motley Crue comes out. First song, Vince Neil's already looked like he's ran an ultra marathon. He gets to the front of the stage, and I think "Shout at the Devil" was the first song, and he puts the mic over my head. Like, I could touch his leg. I was as close to him as I were you the other night. And he wants me to start singing the song. I'm like, "Hey, bro, this ain't karaoke. Like, I paid $12.50 a pop
to hear you sing it.
Yeah,
to hear your voice sing it."
Well, and then my favorite memory of that show is at one point Nikki Sixx has a canister on his bass. I don't know what that's for. And he starts firing confetti over the crowd. Oh, cool. That's a cool thing. And then someone does pyro from the ceiling. Who sees this as a good idea, where you're dropping paper on the crowd, and Nikki Sixx, they got fire, or the fire was coming from his bass, and the confetti was being dropped from the ceiling. I don't think this is a good idea.
No, that, what that could create, Earl? That could really create a house of fire.
There we go. Thank you,
scene. And scene. I think we have to go out on that with part one with Earl. Oh, shoot. Here it comes. We might have a live appearance by Eric Singer. I think he's come to Earl's house. And there you go, friends. You're not hallucinating. That is, oh, wow, we have a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of things going on that's happening. It's crazy. Now it's not happening. Oh, it is happening. Oh, it's Desmond Child. This is the Hangover episode. It's not just me. Everybody's hungover. There's Desmond Child in his solo album. He's got the CD to prove it. And we have a fan of the week to prove it. Sandra Olajays, we are going to give you this week and next week, because we will do it more proper next week, I guess. But then there's back to Glenn Sobel's kitchen. No, it's Earl Skakel's kitchen. Things are going crazy here on the podcast. We love it. Earl, right before we end part one, because I got to have you on for part two. You're too easy to talk to, and there's too much stuff, there's too much to talk about that we have from here on out. But where can the good people find you? What's your favorite social media?
I'm on www.gayman.org. And
wait a second, we don't have that one written down. We have them all right there.
It's really simple. Like the graphics say, I'm at Earl Skakel at everything. After you listen to In the Trenches, if you still like more rock and roll talk or pro wrestling, you could find Inappropriate Earl on SoundCloud and iTunes, and Comedy Store. And I'm going to start hitting the road a little bit more. And please watch The Jellies on Adult Swim, HBO Max, or the Cartoon Network. So,
and somebody, please, for the love of God, please, somebody DM Earl in the next couple hours and tell him how to turn his notifications off on a MacBook Pro, okay? There is a feature that you can do. I don't know how to do it myself, but just explain to him. Give him a tutorial on how to turn notifications off so Eric Singer can stop bothering our complete broadcast.
I mean, I'm telling you, I don't know. I'll guess that Eric Singer contracted all those illegal T-shirt vendors at the Greek last Sunday. I mean, that joke bombed last night, but I'm telling you, I've never seen so many people. I mean, can I ask you a serious question?
Please do.
I swear on my comedy career, I'm being serious. Don't you guys have like not a security guy, but like, because I'm an artist, and I think people should pay, for this T-shirt I'm wearing, for the teddy bear. For
Although
your
that T-shirt you are wearing is that an official one, but it's a one of a kind, right? What is that one? Is it hand painted, that one?
And then
wait. Where is that T-shirt from? Is that really from the 87-88 tour?
Yes.
So it's vintage.
Yeah, this T-shirt, and I could probably sell this on eBay for $500. Because it's a true. It's older than any girl I would date. Hello.
I was just thinking, is that Kane Roberts? Is he a little bit of inspiration for you to have the body that you have? It's definitely not Gene Simmons. So is it Kane Roberts back in the day that might have inspired you to get in the gym?
Well, I used to work out at the same gym he did. I've never officially met him, but they had a huge poster of him at Gold's Gym. I think it was in North Hollywood, and it said "No pain, no Kane." And since I don't do drugs, working out is my Prozac, I guess. I don't know if that's an accurate or fair description, because like when that's me after an open mic. So I used to have a fear of flying, and most of my friends who do have a fear of flying or just don't like flying, they'll take a Xanax or medicate in some form, weed and edible. And since I can't do that, I have to do like yoga or something to like calm my nerves or whatever. I'd probably kill myself, and I'm not even trying to be funny.
But you told me a very interesting story of how that all came about, because it was very simple. And maybe this is a good way to go out with a good parenting tip, because the reason why you don't do drugs or alcohol and it's stuck with you all these years is why. And you told me this story last night. I remember that. Well,
I come from a pretty big family, 2 brothers, 2 sisters. So I'm the 5th, I'm the baby. And you got to remember that, Jesus, out of control. That's probably
Eric Singer.
Wait, that's Tommy Thayer. Earl, what kind of energy drink do you want? So you got to remember, this is the 80s where, doing cocaine in the 80s is like saying you have a podcast now.
Yep.
And my mom and I were very, very close. That's oh my God.
Where'd he find that? Because he's a stalker, Vic. He moonlights as a stalker. He's great.
We'll reenact that Snoopy picture.
Do it. Put it back.
Can we do a side by side?
Can you do a side by side, Vic? I don't know. No, this is. If we do that, we're gonna get next week's guest on. I know that.
So we were very, very close, and my mom, I think. And I love my brothers and sisters. My sister graduated top of her class at Stanford with John Elway. I mean, she was at the top. And all my other brothers and sisters are successful in their fields. But my mom, I think, wanted to see if she can maintain one pure child. So she says, "Earl, if you don't drink, I'll get you the car of your choice, within reason." And so when I turned 18, she took me to the BMW dealership in Santa Monica. And I'll never forget, I'm in the lobby waiting with Peter Cetera, the singer from Chicago.
Yes. And solo artist, great solo artist. I think Robbie Crane played bass in that solo band, but I'm not sure.
When he was 5 years old. It was incredible. He was a prodigy. And so the guy takes me into this warehouse of BMWs that I'm sure it was only 50 cars, but at the time, you're 18. I was a virgin. This was like the greatest experience of my life. And the guy just looks at me and goes, "Pick." And I see this bright red BMW, and I'm like, that. And so my mom signs the paperwork, and she, to see her pay, I think it was $25,000. It was like this, her hand, and she left. She had gotten a ride there, and she said, "Go home." And I was so excited. I drive off the lot, and this is in Santa Monica. My parents lived in Bel Air, and about halfway there, tremendous amount of smoke starts pilfering through the back of the car, like a Kiss concert had broken out in the trunk. I'm panicking. I finally get to my house. My dad, who was like this gigantic man, goes, "What the hell's this?" He looks in. He's like, I don't want to swear on the podcast, but he said, "You effing idiot! You've got the emergency brake on." So I drove.
Oh, yeah.
I drove probably 5 to 6 miles with the emergency brake on.
On the new car.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so 2 life lessons that we've learned. If you are getting the car of your dreams, don't drive 5 miles with the emergency brake on. And if you do not want your kids to drink or do drugs, apparently just buy them the BMW of their choice. Those are good life lessons to have.
Well, it worked because at that point I was like, well, 18 years with no booze or drugs.
I've gone this far.
And then because all my friends in comedy, and I know we got to wrap it up, but they're like, "Earl, you're so funny sober that I would love to see you not a little bit high, so your creative juices could your mind could be expanded." And I've had people, famous comics, want me to take mushrooms, or I think the new thing now is ketamine, like how people take ayahuasca to open up your mind. They're like, "Dude, if your mind could be opened up just a little bit, you'd be on TV every night." But I just
your thing.
Yeah, at 53, I think it'd be a pretty dumb move to start taking drugs.
Yeah. You know what, Earl? If you continue not to do anything like this, I'll be like your mom. If you continue to go on this no drinking, no drugs pattern to be an inspiration for us all, I would love to introduce you to Kane Roberts. Would you like that? Would that be a good deal?
I would love to, and I would love to, to take it to another level. I'm a comic. You're never satisfied. You think, this guy's a Kane Roberts fan. I'm going to introduce him to him. His life is complete. That you have a guitar with you, and we sing "Does Anyone Fall in Love Anymore?"
Wow.
That's a song off of Saints and Sinners. Thank you.
Which I can't just pick up a guitar and play it. I got to tell you, I can do Roses on White Lace because that's the song that's in the set list right now. That's about it.
Well, you did a Teenage Frankenstein. That's Kane Roberts era.
Yeah. Hey, Stupid. Wasn't that as well?
I think that was Al Petrelli had moved on.
All right. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. We just got out. We had good life lessons. One more time, if you want to get in touch with Earl and give him advice about turning off his notifications and all ringers and bells, go check out those right there. If you are listening to us on the audio broadcast, you can definitely check out our YouTube official channel, which we have all the visuals right there. Hey, man. This has been one of those episodes where I will look back on it with a smile on my face. I'm going to have part 2 with you, Earl. Who knows? Maybe have a guest appearance by Kane Roberts. Next week's guest will be Susie Michelson. Looking forward to that. That'll be May 6th. We will talk more about that later. Thank you very much, Vic. Thank you, Federica, for being part of it. But most of all, thanks to everyone here that has been part of the chat. Go spread the word. Earl Skakel, any parting words for our guests until you come back for part 2?
First of all, thank you, dude. I've always been a huge fan of yours, and thank you for like I said last night on stage, I don't go to comedy shows because I want to do comedy. So for me to get to see you guys play in concert, not just at the Greek, but in Anaheim and all the other times, you make my life. As a comic, it's good to just be in a room for 2 hours and not think about comedy. So it's like, go see Alice Cooper. It's an amazing show, and I marvel at the tightness of your band, and Alice being, I think, 74, and his voice didn't crack once. Like you walk away going, I got my money's worth, and very few shows and very few bands you can say that about. So thank you for entertaining me all these years.
Huge endorsement. Thanks so much for checking out the show, and everybody else. Hopefully we'll be able to see you in Europe in the coming weeks, and then back for leg 3 in the US back in September and October. But in the meantime, anytime you're in Los Angeles, or if you see Earl Skakel on the road, make sure you check that out, because you know what? Just to go in and listen to his comedy is a great break for anybody, whether you're a musician, athlete, or if you're Eric Singer. It doesn't matter. Earl Skakel will entertain you. Thanks for being on the podcast. Thanks for taking the time. And of course, anytime you want to come listen to some good podcasting, go check out Earl's podcast, or check out my podcast as well next week. And thanks again, team. I'm Ryan Roxie. Until next time, enjoy the ride. Have a good one, man. There's that notification.
In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie.